Hi guys, welcome back for episode number 24 of the weekly playback. I do have a couple games to talk about, but before I get into that, I'm having a bad day because I got a parking ticket. So I was returning a really heavy big box to Amazon, so I had to go to the UPS store to drop it off, and there's like only paid parking nearby, so I parked in the section for trucks, which is for 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with my hazard lights on, and I was like literally gone for like 3 minutes to drop off this giant box, and I got a parking ticket. So I'm very unhappy about that. So I'm hoping that talking about games while I'm shooting this video will, make me forget about that and, make me forget about the fine that I'll have to pay, which could have been spent on bubble tea or board games instead. Yes, parking tickets are the worst. Okay, so let's get into the games for this week. So the first game I'm going to talk about is Tang Garden. So Tang Garden is for 1 to 4 players. It's a 2020 game designed by Francesco Tastini and Pierluca Zizzi, and the artist is Matthew Mizak, and the publisher is Thundergriff Games. Now, the reason I wanted to get this game off of my shelf of shame, or as some people say, shelf of opportunity, very quickly was because there is a new expansion coming to Kickstarter next month, the Seasons expansion. I actually don't have any expansions right now. I only have the base game, the retail version of the base game. So I really wanted to play it just so I could see whether or not I enjoy it and whether I would want to back the expansions. So this is a really nice game. You're basically constructing a garden, and I'll throw up some pictures. It's a pretty, big box. The insert is really good, by the way, and I do love a good insert. So, it's got a board and with the grid on it, and you're going to be placing, garden tiles on that. So let me just show you. Like, there's 4 different types of garden tiles, and I don't know where they are. So some of them have rocks on them, some of them have like water, some of them have like grass. So, and you're going to be like connecting tiles to each other and trying to go up on a track. So you'll be able to go up on a water, greenery, or like this rocky track. And the more you go up on it, then that will allow you to influence different people in the game. So you will have these miniatures and the character cards I can show you. So you're going to have these people, and this is one way to get points, is you're going to be influencing these characters. So on your turn, the main action you can do is either to play a decoration, and you're going to have these decoration cards, which will allow you to play a decoration on a tile somewhere on the garden board, or you can place another tile down. And then you can optionally take an optional action, which is to either influence a character, or to play, to use a lantern, or to refresh a lantern. A lantern, each person starts out with 4 different lanterns on their board, and that will allow you to basically take another action again. And then there are also these, so the decorations come in these like small little tokens. They're just like, there's like flowers and stuff like that. And then there's also these, I think, pavilions. So these are really nice. And then there are trees that you can put down. Oh, and of course there's also bridges. Let me show you a bridge. Yeah. I really like the pavilion and the bridge because you can actually put the miniatures in them when you're placing your character. So when you influence a character, oh no, they all fell out. Okay. So when you influence a character, each character has different scoring abilities. So like you are going to make the character face in a certain direction so that it's facing towards something that it wants to see, and that is how you'll score X number of points during final scoring, if it's facing the way that it wants to face. And these are not in the right slots, I've just noticed. Oh well, okay, I can try to fix these later. So different characters want to see different things. So for example, where did those cards go? So the merchant wants to, I don't know what that symbol actually is. I used her last night. So I had the lady, she was one of my characters that I played with. So if she will score 6 points If on the garden board there is a moon or a sun symbol, it shall score 12 if there are both present in the landscape tiles, actually. So the landscape tiles are these, which go around the board. And there's a bunch of different ones. And the way you are able to put these down is if you are putting down one of these tiles, and you have to, so if you're putting down just a tile, you know, a garden tile as your action, if there was one of these tiles in the spot where you're putting it down, then you remove this, and that allows you to put down one of the landscape tiles. So there's different kinds of landscape tiles. There's the big ones and then the small ones. And each side of the board will be composed of, at the end, 3 small ones. Well, not necessarily, because you might not end up putting all of them down before the game ends, and 2 big ones. And these have symbols on them. And so you want the characters to face in the directions of the symbols that they will score for. And there are actions that may allow you to, like a lantern action may allow you to move one of the characters you've already placed, or maybe change its direction a bit if you want to change its direction. So you can do that as well. So yeah, so that is the gist of the game. It's actually a very pleasant game. So it's like a tile laying game, and it's like kind of like you are working together to build this garden. And so you're also going to score you can score money. Oh, so that's actually how you're going to win, is by getting the most money. So if you put down a tile and it connects a footpath, like this would be creating a footpath, you will get 1 coin if you create a footpath when you place down a garden tile. Otherwise, if you connect a location, like a green part with another green part, or a blue part water with other blue parts, then you'll just go up on this track. And the more you go up on this track, the more characters you will be able to influence. So you start out with 1 character that you get at the beginning of the game. Then if you have all 3 cubes here, then you're able to, you know, influence the second character. However, if your cubes pass that character, you lose that ability. So you want to try and influence the character before your cubes pass that section. I mean, I hope we did that right. I think that's how it works. And also the characters, in addition to giving you end game scoring, until your cubes pass that character's location, you can also get 1 special in-game ability. Like that will, you know, like for example, I'm trying to find one that I might understand. So I think this one means for every time someone advances on the yellow cube track, you will get 1 coin. I believe that's what that one means. So each character also has a special ability for which you can gain like extra coins throughout until your cubes pass that spot. So anyway, I think that's the gist of it. So yeah, so basically you're just building a garden, you're trying to decorate it, get set collection points from the decorations as well. So yeah, there's different decoration cards, and you'll get set collection points for the decoration cards that you have at the end as well. So, you know, when you put down a decoration, you get to keep the card, and it's the card that will give you points in the end. So, you know, for sets of trees, you might get X number of coins. You know, for a fish and a bird, you'll get an X number of coins, and so on. So yeah, so it's a nice set collection tile placement game with like variable player powers when the characters come into play. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a really good game. You know, it's like you're competitive, you know, it's a competitive game, but you're collectively building something together, but then competitively placing your characters and trying to put down the decorations that you want to put down to, you know, hopefully score you the most points. So I really like that. I thought that was pretty cool. So it's a game I would recommend. So, you know, I'm glad I got to check it out, and I definitely do think I will be backing the expansions. So there already, I believe, are a couple of expansions in existence. I don't have any of them. So I think Ghost Stories has been out of print, and I think that's an expansion that people, you know, really want to get but have been unable to get because it's been out of print. So that's one expansion I would like to get my hands on for sure. Yeah, oh no, it's just trouble fitting these things in. Oh well, I can fix that later. So yeah, so I would like to get my hand on that expansion. Hands, not hand. And then I believe there's like some promos, like there's like an apricot tree or something. What else is there? Let me see. Tang Garden. Yeah, there's a Wayfarer. I don't know what the Wayfarer. So I think the Wayfarer, Herbalist are like different characters, I believe. And then there's an expansion called Golden Age, which I don't have. So it looks like there's already 2 expansions in existence, which I think came out with the Kickstarter when this game was coming out, I believe. I don't know. Ghost Stories and Golden Age, which I don't have. And then it looks like there's a swan. I don't know what the swan is, if it's an expansion or a character. Oh, it looks like it's some decorations. Okay, so there's some decoration pieces that you can use that have swans on them. So Seasons is coming out next month in February, so I do think I want to back everything that I don't have just to complete my collection. So they did say that everything that has come out and has been out of print will be available when the Kickstarter comes out. So yeah, so if you like tile placement games and a little bit of, you know, variable player power and set collection, I highly recommend it. It's like a very pleasant game to play. Like, even though it's competitive in the end with scoring, you know, it's just a very pleasant experience. Like, you're not getting overly anxious about anything or, you know, anything like that. So I do recommend it. Oh, and it's absolutely beautiful as well. I mean, you know, I think that goes without saying. It's a very stunning game. The only complaint I have is that it was hard to read some of the symbols on some of the landscape tiles and the actual garden tiles. So, you know, that is a bit of a pain. Like, sometimes I would have to stand up and like peer over to try to find a certain symbol that I need. You know, and if the landscape tile was on the other side of the board, like, I'd have to maybe sometimes squint, and like, you know, if the lighting is not good, that could be an issue. I have seen that people have come up with their own kind of remedies to this. On the forums, I saw that someone actually took a label maker and printed out which characters use which symbols, and they actually stuck the character's name on the landscape tiles themselves so that it's like very visible. But, you know, I think that just makes the tiles a bit ugly, so I don't want to do that. So I will just put up with, you know, not being able to see the symbols all that well. But, you know, it's just a minor thing. It's not a huge deal. Yeah. But yeah, the person I was playing with also had that complaint, and that was honestly the only complaint we had at all. But yeah, otherwise, great game, absolutely loved it, and I am looking forward to the expansions. So the next game I will talk about is Speakeasy Blues. So this was recommended by, I'm gonna butcher his name. I think it's Shogunstein, someone who regularly watches my videos and comments on them. So thank you for this recommendation, because I absolutely loved it. So this is a 2018 game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Adrian Adamskew and Daryl Andrews. And the artist is Heiko Gunther and Don Whitson, and it's published by Artana. So this is a really fun worker placement game with dice. So I will throw up a picture. So the interesting thing about this is you are going to have a board, and on this board will be different locations. Let me just pull those out. I really like the Art Deco artwork. So this board is going to have different locations where you can place your dice. And the way the dice work is, on the board, there will be 3 sets of dice placed already when you start the game. So like it could be like 2 green, 2 blue, and 2 pink, and then you might have the yellow and the orange out in the dice pool on the table. So when it's your turn, you are going to select which 2 dice, matching dice from the board you want, and then you're going to roll all 6 dice now that are in the dice pool, and then decide which 2 dice you want to use on the board. And so you're going to end up placing 2 dice on the board somewhere to take actions. And of course, you know, it's one of those games where one place might cost you something. So like, for example, if you go here, it'll cost you, I can't remember, is it a coin or a hooch? I can't remember what it costs you. I think it costs money. Gosh, why don't I remember what it costs? I think it's money. Yeah. I think it's money. Oh, no, reputation. Sorry, that's what it costs. Now I remember, reputation. So yeah, so this minus symbol is reputation. So you are going to have your own player board, which keeps track of your reputation and who's visiting your speakeasy. So if you place a die in one of these locations, you know, you have to, of course, match the symbol, and then you need to, you know, sometimes pay reputation in order to take a certain location. Some locations you may need to pay a hooch, you know, so you can end up acquiring cards and placing those cards on your own player board, which will provide you with an extra location. So there's different kinds of cards that you are going to be playing. acquiring. So there's like society cards, which is basically people, and these people may give you extra like spots that you can take, so you could put a die on here instead of on the board. So for example, it's a better spot than the collection spot on the board, because if you put a die here, which will cost you 1 hooch, you can take a soiree action, which is indicated by the hat, and get a collection card. And yeah, so you know, the cards that you acquire can give you better abilities, and they'll also give you like set collection points at the end by the various symbols on top. So there are society cards, which are the people. There are event cards, which, you know, will happen throughout the game. So these are just some examples of event cards, and that event cards dictate how much money you will get when you take the favors action. So on the favors spot, there's going to be 3 different tokens, and if you choose to go there, you will also get to collect money in addition to a token, which will give you like set collection points at the end of the game. There are these collection cards, which will give you set collection points. So like you're collecting like different pieces of artwork, or like, you know, famous things throughout 1920s. You know, the 1920s. So these will also give you set collection points and some kind of a special action. No, sorry, these don't give you an action. These are just set collection points. Yeah. So, and also the cards, some of the cards will indicate, so there are crime cards and cop cards as well. So the crime cards will basically lose you a reputation, and if you, sorry, yeah, they'll lose your reputation. I'm trying to show you something else. Let's see. Okay, here's a cop card, which will give you an action. So these are one-time actions. I believe. I think you can only do them once, if I remember. And a cop card can negate a gangster action if someone is trying to use a gangster action against you. So the negative symbol will take place if someone does a soiree action. So soiree action is kind of like a free spot on the board if it's available. If you have a die that can't match anywhere, you can place a die right here in the soiree spot, and that allows you to collect money and reputation from what's visible on the top card in each section of your player board. So you have 4 sections, and you will have 4 cards visible at any time if all 4 sections are filled up. If you have a gangster visible, then by hosting a soiree, you will actually lose reputation instead of gaining it. However, if you have, well, actually, I don't think the cop cards give you positive reputation, but there are other cards that give you positive reputation. But these collection cards will give you money if you host a soiree. Oh dear. And there are some cards that will give you some positive reputation. So yeah, so you will get points for reputation at the end of the game as well. So I went over those cards. I went over the event cards. Let me see. I think there's something I'm forgetting. Yeah. So let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, so at the beginning of the game, you will start out with your own. These are the event cards, actually. I guess I already went over event cards. Maybe I was showing you guys something else when I thought I was showing you. Oh no, I guess some event cards got mixed up, actually. Okay, so these were event cards. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, you'll get a choice of which speakeasy you want, and that'll just give you your starting bonuses and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess I did go over everything then. Let me just double check. So yeah, it's a really fun game. You know, there are certain ways that you can re-roll dice. So like if you want, you can pay $1 at the beginning of your turn to decide to re-roll all the dice if you don't like, you know, in the dice pool, if you don't like what's showing. So, but first you'll have to decide before you select the 2 dice from the board that you want to re-roll. Then you'll take the 2 dice and then you'll re-roll all of them. And then, you know, you'll have to find something to, you know, put on the board. Oh, it comes with these really nice bottles. You know, I bought this used, so I don't know if this is like a deluxe component or like if all the additions come with it, but that's the hooch bottle. There are also these like things you can earn if you go to the music club on the board, which will allow you to get a token. So it will allow you to get one of these tokens, which will allow you to perform one of the die actions twice, or you can get this token, which will allow you to change the face of a die. So those are useful in the game. Yeah, but it's a really good game, and it plays really well at 2 players. So For a dice placement game, I think, you know, the friend who I played with, we were talking at the end, and yeah, this is like, if you're looking for a game that plays really well at 2 players but still gives you a lot of tough decisions, I would highly recommend this game, because you can only, for set collection points, I forgot to mention, you can only score what's on the top, like the cards, the symbols behind the top cards will count, but it's only the top cards which will give you the scoring ability. So for example, if I had this in one of my slots, basically I would get to score for every car symbol I have. The card beneath it, which would let me score for every, I don't know if that's a tire or whatever, I could not use the scoring ability since it's beneath this card. So whatever is showing on the top is what you will score at the end of the game. So you do have ways of moving cards around throughout the game. So you have to acquire certain cards that may let you do that. Like there are cop cards that can let you do that, and there are society cards that can let you do that as well. So I really like that part about this game, that you have to really start thinking about what you want showing on top slots of your board, and as the rounds are going down, I believe it's 10 rounds in a game, then you really need to start figuring out how to maneuver your cards, and so that you can get the most points. And that's something that, you know, you're paying attention to throughout the game as well. You know, so it's a really fun game. Like, we thought it was fun and challenging, and we really liked it. So yeah, so I would highly recommend it if you are into the 1920s theme, and if you like you know, dice placement games, highly recommend it. So yeah, so this was Speakeasy Blues, and again, thank you for the recommendation. I really liked it, and I'm super glad to have it in my collection, and I might actually sleeve these cards because I can see myself playing this over and over again. Yeah, alrighty. Oh, yeah, I think I went over everything. I printed this out from BGG. Oh yeah, so I will say some of the negatives. Some of the negatives were that we had a little bit trouble with the rule book. Like, you know, we kept on referring to Board Game Geek to figure some things out. And even some of the scoring cards, we were a bit unclear on how to score the collection event cards at the end. So there are 3 different types of event cards. There are events that happen immediately, there are events that happen, I believe, at the end of the round, and then there are events that happen at the end of the game, which are like collection points. And those were a bit confusing with the symbols on them. Like, one of them, we didn't know if it meant, if it was referring to cop cards or if it was referring to these badges. So it was very unclear. So we ended up scoring it as cards rather than these favor tokens. So we hope we did that correctly. And I was like scouring BGG for an answer to that, and I couldn't find an answer to that question exactly. So I think we did it correctly, because there was one spot in the rule book that said contest. They're called contests, sorry. So it said at the end of the game, for each contest card, the player with the most of the listed symbol wins the contest and is awarded 4 victory points. This might require collecting certain society types, cops, or resources. So we figured that this does not equal a resource, so that's why we decided to read it as cards, cop cards, instead of resources, favor tokens. So I hope we did that correctly. I might actually just reach out to the designer or post a question on the forums. It's a 2018 game, so I feel like they might not be checking it as frequently anymore at the forum, but who knows. But yeah, super fun games. I really liked it. My friend really liked it as well and is planning on purchasing the game too. So yeah, so that was Speakeasy Blues. The next game I'll talk about is actually not out yet, but I was playtesting it, so I think I'll just talk about it anyway. It's called Fliptown. so I just have this to show you guys. It's going to be a solo flip and write game, and it's designed by Steve Aramini, and the artist is Naomi Farrell, and the publisher, it looks like, will be Right Stuff Games, and it's going to come out, I believe, on Kickstarter or GameFound sometime this year. So in this game, you are like in the wild west. In this game, you can basically use any deck of cards. So I was using my Grogu cards, which I thought went perfectly with this because it's a Western themed game. So in this game, you are basically going to have a deck of cards, and you're going to shuffle them. You leave out the Joker cards, and you are going to put one card to the side face down. This game is played over 3 rounds, by the way. Then you are going to, and within each round there's like 5 turns. And then you are going to select 3 cards and then use one of those cards for the suit. So like the heart, clovers, whatever. You're going to use one of the cards for the number and the other card for your poker card. So you are basically taking actions on the board in different areas, and different parts of the board will use a different suit. And then depending on the number, you'll go to that one location and take that action that's associated with the number you chose. And then you're going to have a poker hand. And then the remaining card, you'll write down the number and which suit it is. And then at the end of that round, you're going to resolve your poker hand and see if you get any kind of a reward. It's a really fun game. There are different locations. So there's like the Badlands, there's the trail, there's like a mine where you can go mining for gold, there's the town where you can do all kinds of cool stuff. And then if there's something that, you know, if you feel like you cannot do anything, you can go to the cemetery. The cemetery is, you know, a bit risky because you might end up getting wanteds. So wanteds come into play. You know, from different areas of the board, you might get a wanted sign, which is, you know, means you're wanted, you're a criminal. And that can be risky because at the end of each round, you will see whether the sheriff arrests you or not. So again, there's 3 rounds with 5 turns in each round. And at the end of the round, the first thing you do is resolve your poker hand and see if you get any rewards from that. And then you see if you've earned anything from the gold pan or from your, there's like a pickaxe, I guess that's what it's called. So you can earn those, which can help you to get money in gold. And then you'll see if you're arrested. So that card that you put down at the beginning of the round, you're going to reveal it. And if it's, I always get this backwards because it's a bit confusing, because usually you think that something wins if the number is higher. But in this case, if the number revealed is lower than your wanted level, you will get arrested. If it's higher, you don't get arrested. So I believe that's how it works. Yes. No. Less than, yes. Yes, correct. Okay. So if it's lower, you do not get arrested. That's something I would have to just think about each time I did that, because it's like not intuitive to me. I mean, it makes sense. The designer explained it to me, so I can see why, but it's just something I always have to pause and think about. Like, am I arrested? Am I not arrested? So if the card you reveal is a lower number than your wanted total, then you will be arrested. So the more wanted you are, the easier it is for you to get arrested. So of course that makes sense. The less wanted you are, the more difficult it is for you to get arrested, because if you have a wanted level of 2, then you need an ace to get arrested, and that's the only card that you can be arrested with then, because it's not equal to, it has to be less. It's not equal to or less than, it's actually just less. So yeah, so it's a really fun game. I actually played it 3 times. The first time I played it though, I messed up because after the first round, I did not shuffle the deck of discards, and you're supposed to shuffle all the discards back in with the regular deck. And so I actually made the game really more difficult for myself the very first time I played by not shuffling it in. Then the next 2 times I remember to shuffle all the cards back together, and that made it much better. I was able to actually get some poker hands that way, because the first game I played, I won nothing during the poker resolving part of the game. And you know, you're getting more and more limited with what actions you can take, because you know, the cards are becoming fewer and fewer as the rounds were going on when you don't shuffle it. So yeah, so I mean, I don't know, maybe as a house rule, if you want a really difficult game of Fliptown, you can just not shuffle your discards after a round. So, but it's a really fun game. I think it's super amazing. As a, you know, I loved it. I love flip and rights and roll and rights that I can play solo, and this is designed to be a solo game, and it's a lot of fun, and it's super combo-tastic. Like, you can get a lot of comboing in here. Like, there was like one time where I went to one place and that triggered another location, and then that location triggered another location. So, you know, you have to kind of keep track of what you're doing, so, you know, you can remember everything. But it was a lot of fun. I really like this game, and I'm super looking forward to the actual production copy of this game. So yeah, so I, you know, had requested this from the designer, so he sent me the file, and I went to FedEx and got it printed and laminated so that I can play it again and again. So yeah, so I did play it 3 times, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, so keep an eye out for Fliptown if you like roll and rights and flip and rights, especially, you know, to play solo. This is a really good one to play solo, because I was actually, one of the times I was playing it, I was actually playing it while lying down on the couch. So I mean, yeah, it's great. All right, the next game I will talk about is Silk. So Silk is a 2018 game as well, and this is for 2 to 4 players, designed by Luis Ranedo, artist Rock Espinet, and the publisher is Devere Games. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of Devere Games, which I've mentioned many times now. I absolutely love Devere Games. I think that they've really hit it out of the park with so many games in the last year. People had mentioned that this is a really good game. It's like an area majority influence game with a bit of take that and like, you know, worker placement. So you are basically, you're going to have like, I'll throw up a picture, like a field, and you're placing silkworms on the field, and there's like this creature who eats, like knocks silkworms off. Well, I guess does he eat them? Because they kind of go to his den. I don't know if he eats them or he just like sent them away to his den. But you're going to be placing like nurseries around the board, and so like nurseries are these like big things here, and you're going to be placing silkworms, and you are trying to do like a harvest action where you're harvesting silk to get more points. So I played this as a 2-player game, and we reached the end game trigger just when we felt like the game was actually getting started. So I do not think it plays well at 2 players. Like we just felt like we were not enjoying it, like we were not getting much out of it. It just went by so quickly too. Like it really felt like as soon as we were really getting into the meat of the game, then it was over already, because I had hit the required number of points to trigger game end just by doing like the gather harvest action or whatever it's called a couple times. I would not recommend it at 2 players. I want to play it at a higher player count to see how I really feel about it. I think it would be much more fun at a higher player count. So yeah, so you know, you have like a shepherd, you have a mastiff, and you're just moving around your meeples, you know, strategically. You're trying to build like enclosures and you know, to keep out the bad guy, whatever he's called. I don't remember what he's called. Yeah, and so you're going to roll a die, and the die, 2 dice, and the dice determine which actions you get to take. And then you can also spend points if you want to change the value of a die. So you can put down a silkworm, you can either move the shepherd or the mastiff, you can put down a wall, you can put down a nursery, or you can do the grazing action, or you can move the bad guy to try and eliminate your opponents. And if they get removed, they get put into his den over here. So yeah, just did not enjoy it at 2 players. You know, it was a bit disappointing because I've been really looking forward to playing this game, and I know there's a lot of people who like this game. Unfortunately for me, it just did not, you know, really do anything for me at 2 players. So I'm waiting to play it at a higher player count, and then see how I feel about it. But yeah, but that's the gist of it. So yeah, it's an area majority, like worker placement kind of game. Yeah, so that was Silk. The next game I'll talk about, I think there's just 1 left. No, 2 left. I'm wondering if I should even talk about it, because I'm actually going to be playing it again tonight. So this game right here, Paris, which is also another Devere game, by the way. So I actually really love this game. So let me just bring it up. So this is Paris, La Cite de la Lumiere. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't speak French. It's a 2-player game designed by Jose Antonio Abascal Acebo, and the artist is Oriol Hernandez, and published by Devere Games. It's a beautiful game. It's a really cool game. Like, you are taking turns. Each player will have a set number of tiles, and you are actually using the box as the board. So you are going to have tiles in your own color with your own backside color. So it will be either orange or blue. Let me just show an example. So like, you know, if you're blue, the backside of your tile will look like that, and then you might place down a tile on your turn, or you might take a piece, building tile from the reserve on your turn. So you can do one or the other in phase 1 of the game. So in phase 1 of the game, the board is basically just going to be populated with tiles. Let me just fill up half of the board with tiles to show you what it might look like, just randomly. So imagine that the whole board is filled with tiles like these. So you're going to see some orange spaces, some blue spaces, some light post spaces, and some purple spaces. So during the second part of the game, the building pieces that you acquired, you are going to be trying to put them down on either your spaces or purple spaces, which are shared spaces. So you can only cover spaces of your own color or purple, and you are trying to cast light on the buildings that you are putting down in the second phase of the game. So in the first phase of the game, you have to be really careful about whether you want to pick a certain tile or put down a tile, like one of these, base tiles, ground tiles, because if you pick up one of these tiles, you're giving your opponent a chance to put down one of their tiles and start, manipulating the board and how it looks. And if you cannot place down one of your building tiles during phase 2 of the game, you will lose 3 points for each building tile you were not able to put down. It is a really good game. It's a really, really good game. I absolutely love it. And the base game comes with like some of these like decoration pieces like that you can put onto the tiles. There's some scoring cards, so it comes with these postcards, and you will decide which postcards you want to use for the game. So it comes with some basic ones, and then you are going to decide which ones you want to use, and they're just so freaking beautiful. Oh, I love them. They're just so pretty. And then the back side will, so if you use this, you will put down one of your tokens on it to indicate that you used it. Oh, and by the way, when you place down a tile, you are going to put down, oh, sorry, not a tile. When you place down a building, you will put a chimney on your building to indicate that you own that building. So then you can use one of these if you have any of these like special tokens available left. There's only 4 of them, and these will help you to maybe score additional points or like use a tile that you couldn't use. Like they do different things. So you'll just have to look into that and see what they do, but they're really beautiful. So yeah, it's a really pretty game, very thinky. It's a really great 2-player game. So I played it recently at Barnes & Noble, and I really liked it. And then after I played it is when my expansion arrived. So the expansion, Paris, adds just more scoring cards, postcards that you can use, and you can mix and match apparently. So the expansion adds in the Arc de Triomphe as another scoring thing. It adds in the Eiffel Tower, the Mona Lisa, and this like obelisk. And then it adds in, it actually gives you a scoring pad, which is really nice. So it comes with a scoring pad now. And then it comes with these postcards. So let me just show you. So yeah, so you do need the base game to play this expansion. And I sleeve these. I had to like trim the sleeves because the sleeves were too big. I used like the Dixit-sized sleeves. So then I just trimmed the edges because they were too long. But yeah, so I'm planning on playing this tonight, actually. So I'm planning on playing with the expansion tonight. So I'll let you know. I heard that it, improves scoring, like it makes for bigger scoring in the game. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing exactly what people mean by that. Yeah, so that is Paris. So if you've played this, let me know what you think. I really like it. Yeah. Oh no. Okay. Do-do-do-do. All right, I'll pick up the stuff that, oh yeah, one of the, sorry, I feel like I just kind of yelled that out. One of the negative things about this is that, oh my gosh, what's happening here with the box? I think I mixed up the boxes. Did I mix up the boxes? It's like stuck in here. That's weird. I don't know what I just, oh yeah, I think I mixed up the boxes. That's why that one doesn't actually fit exactly. Oh no. 1 second. So I mixed up the covers because this cover actually, it turns out, is too big for this one. Okay, so I think I just jammed it in here. So one of the negative things about this is that you cannot fit everything into one box. So you will have to use both boxes, and now as you can see from what I just did, the sizes are actually different. So one is thicker because the board box obviously has to hold the board and the pieces. So yeah, so just be careful about which cover you put on which game. Like I just messed up. Okay, so that is Paris, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. It's just so beautiful. Like once it's done, it's just so freaking pretty. I just love it. That's such a nice, thinky, small game. It doesn't get enough attention. For sure. It deserves way more attention than it gets. So the last game I played, I actually played over Board Game Arena, but I have it here. It's Takenoko. So Takenoko is a 2011 game. Oh wow, 2011. It's for 2 to 4 players, designed by Antoine Bauza, who I believe is the designer of Seven Wonders. Right? I think so. And the artist is Nicholas Fructus and Pixel and Yuyu. And the publisher is Bombyx Games and Madagut. And some others. So in Takenoko, this is like a tile placement game, like with some, so you're using action points, you're rolling dice, which will determine what the weather is at the beginning of the game. I did a 1-minute overview video for this, like it was one of my very first videos that I ever did. So maybe I'll just link that so you guys can get like a description of what the game actually is like. But I'll show you some of the components. So when the pandemic first started and game nights were on hiatus, this was a game that I played on Board Game Arena so much that I actually got sick of it. And I absolutely love this game. It's a fun game, but I had played it so much that I got tired of it. So at the beginning of the round, your turn, you're going to roll the dice, and the dice will determine what kind of like a bonus action you get, basically. So you might be able to take like a certain action twice, or you can put down like a complimentary bamboo piece somewhere. You can move a panda or a farmer, I think, or put down a special kind of token. I can't remember what they're called, influence token or something like that. I can't remember. So you are going to have different cards. You will start out with some cards in the beginning, which are your scoring cards, because you're basically trying to score points. So you might have a card like this, which means you are going to try and create that formation in order to get those number of points. And it doesn't have to be tiles that you put down exactly. It could be tiles that someone else put down, but as long as that formation is created on your turn, you can then score for this card. There are bamboo farmer pieces, which will mean you have to grow a certain kind of bamboo on a certain tile, and it has to be that number of pieces exactly in order to score that. And then there are panda cards, so you have to eat a certain number of bamboo in order to score that one. So on your turn, you can do 2 actions plus whatever die you rolled that determines like your bonus action or whatever. So you can move a farmer, you can like put down a tile and try to create the terrain that you need in order to score points and grow bamboo. You can move the little panda in order to eat some bamboo pieces, and the bamboo, like the components in this are really nice. I really like the components. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I do think it's better, like I realized playing on BGG or Board Game Arena, but I wonder if I ever messed up when playing with the physical copy, because there were times when we were playing on Board Game Arena where I would try to do an action and it would tell me that I couldn't do it, like when the die was rolled, and I would have a bonus action and it would tell me I could put down one of those tokens somewhere, like one of these tokens, and I would try to put it down somewhere and it would tell me invalid or whatever, and I'd be like, why? Like I could not think of any reason that putting down that token at that time would be not a valid move for me. So I'm like, there must be some rule or something that I'm missing. And it was like a tile that didn't already, improvements, that's what they're called, not influence, improvements, improvement token. And it's not like the tile already had an improvement on it, because I know that would prevent you from putting down another improvement tile. So I wonder what's going on. I wonder if it's a glitch with BGA or there's some rule I was overlooking. I don't know. But yeah, so I played it on Board Game Arena recently. It's a fun game. It's a fun family game. I know that some people, after a certain number of plays, they feel like they don't need it in their collection anymore. I will keep it just because it's super pretty. It's got like, little pandas in it, and I think it's just really pretty. And it's a good, casual game, I would call it. It's rated 1.97 on BGG. So, it's more of a gateway game, I would say. So, it's a good game to introduce people to the hobby. So I think I will definitely keep it in my collection, even though I had gotten sick of it from playing it so much in Board Game Arena. But, that's Board Game Arena. That's not the actual physical game. So yeah, I think I'll keep it. So yeah, let me know what you think of Takenoko if you've played it. I know that there's like a big giant version of it too that costs like, I think $200. I was really tempted to get it one time, but I did not. So I guess that's a good thing I didn't get it. Yeah, so that was the last game I played in the last week. So now let me move on to games that I am backing. So still Hike, I'm not backing anything else. I did see a couple games recently on Kickstarter that I was like, oh, that looks interesting. But like I know like La Granja, is that how you pronounce it? La Granja, or is it La Granja? I think it's La Granja. I know that there's like a big box version of that, but I've never played it and I'm not backing it. I'm actually super duper broke, so I'm not gonna back anything right now. So yeah, I know that the Architects, not what's it called, West Kingdom, there's like an expansion or something for West Kingdom, and I think maybe a big box. I think that's ending soon. Not backing it. I like the fact that Garfield Games says that, you know, everything that's on the Kickstarter will be available in retail, so you don't feel like you're missing out. So I appreciate that, especially since I don't have money to back it right now. So yeah, you know, I saw the game, a game that I had covered for its Kickstarter last year, but then it didn't succeed. I see that it's back on Kickstarter now. It's called Anastasia, or Finding Anastasia, I think. So that's on Kickstarter. I'm not backing it. What else? I don't know what else is on Kickstarter. Let me know if you're backing anything. But I'm really looking forward to, as I mentioned, Tang Garden next month. I'm not sure what else is coming out. Yeah, so let me move on to games that I received. I remember now that I forgot to mention a game that I received that I had bought recently in the last video, so I will show you now, and that is Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries. So this is a Ticket to Ride that was on my wish list, and by the way, this is my first ever big box Ticket to Ride. The only other Ticket to Rides I own are the small Amsterdam one and London. So this is my first big Ticket to Ride box, and I really wanted it. Like, this is the only Ticket to Ride that I really wanted, like the big box one, because I feel like it's beautiful. I love the colors. It, you know, reminded me a lot of Christmas. So yeah, did I already talk about it? Maybe I already did talk about it, because I feel like I've mentioned Christmas before. I don't know. Well, I'll show you again anyway, in case I didn't talk about it before. So yeah, so this game, interestingly enough, is only for 2 to 3 players. So I've heard it plays really well at 2 and 3. Let me just show you the board. Okay, here we go. Really pretty board. I really like the colors. You know, it's got all the beautiful purple on it. I mean, it's just so freaking pretty. I really, really love it. It's got beautiful purple trains. I actually was looking for the pink trains because I think pink would look really nice on here too, because it comes with black, white, and purple. You know, nice colors, but I thought maybe pink might look nice. So I was looking for the pink trains on Amazon, but I guess they're not selling them on Amazon. I don't know if they're still available somewhere to buy. It was like the breast cancer awareness trains, I think. And it comes with such beautiful cards. I mean, look at the back of the cards. They're just so freaking pretty. Yeah, let me see. Oh yeah, look at these. Isn't that just so freaking pretty? Oh, I love it. There's some special Globetrotter card. Yeah, it's just really, really pretty. Oh, I really love it. So yeah, I'm really excited to play this at some point. Let me just show you some of the trains. Yeah, so I think it's one of the prettiest ticket to rides. I really like it. I've heard it's really good. I've heard a lot of people say that it's their favorite Ticket to Ride. So it was on sale on Amazon, so I finally bit the bullet and got it. So it'd been on my wish list for like 2 years or something like that. So I finally got it when I saw it on sale on Amazon. So that was an arrival recently, which I forgot to talk about. One of my other recent arrivals is the production copy of Three Sisters. So I had covered this for the Kickstarter. It's a roll and write game designed by Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, and they are the designers of Fleet the Dice game, which was one of my favorite roll and writes. So of course I was super excited for this. So I already went ahead and laminated some sheets. So yeah, I laminated the sheets so that they can be played over and over again, so that I don't, use all the paper. And it comes with the nice components and the nice dice with the pumpkins on them. So yeah, so I'm excited to play with the production copy of this. And I still had my prototype. I don't think I saw any changes between the prototype and this one, but this box is just so nice. I love how saturated and vivid the cover is. And it feels so nice. I love it. So what else did I get? Oh, I already showed you the Paris expansion, which arrived. And then the last thing I got is a game I traded for, which is LlamaLand. So a game I had called was, God, it's an Alderac game. What was it called? Eco's First Continent. I had called Eco's First Continent, and I had the expansion for it. So I traded the expansion for this game, which was on my wish list. So it is a, I believe, tile placement game, I think. I don't know. I mean, some kind of a polyomino game, because it comes with all of these polyomino pieces. So I think you're placing those down on some kind of a terrain, and it's got these cute little llama pieces. So I mean, you know, admittedly, I really just needed the game because of the llamas. I heard from a few people that they didn't find this game very challenging or interesting, and they actually got bored of it after a couple of plays. But you know, I felt like I wasn't losing much just by trading for it, so I didn't want to buy it. I just wanted to trade for it. So, you know, I feel like I didn't, you know, lose out by getting it. So, you know, even if it ends up being boring or whatever, it's like, that's okay. You know, I wasn't going to play with the Eco's First Continent expansion, so I don't think I lost anything by getting it. So yeah, so that's LlamaLand. If you've played LlamaLand, tell me what you think and what game you might compare it to. If, you know, if there is a game that it's comparable to, please let me know. I guess I should tell you who it's designed by. It's designed by Phil Walker Harding. What else has he designed? I know he's designed some other stuff that I probably have that I just cannot think of right now. All right, so I'm not culling anything right now, so I guess I will talk about some questions. All right, the first question I have is, are there any games you are most looking forward to this year? So I don't know what you mean by that. You know, games that are maybe coming out on Kickstarter this year, or games that, you know, are coming straight to retail or were on Kickstarter before and are coming out. If so, I already did a video covering that. So I already did a video of games that I'm most looking forward to receiving in 2022, which are games that are coming either straight to retail or that I had backed on Kickstarter and are expected to arrive. But now I do know of a new game that was announced just yesterday, I think, or maybe it was a couple of days ago, and someone actually mentioned it in a comment as well. I think it was actually the person who asked this question too, Patrick. The Meadow expansion. So there is an expansion to Meadow coming out, which I think is going to do with, like, I think it's called Seafall or something like that, and it looks absolutely stunning already. It's got like an otter on the cover, and yes, I am so looking forward to the Meadow expansion. Just cannot wait for that. I think Meadow is just absolutely stunning. It's just, yeah, and it's, you know, a nice, pleasant game to play. So I'm definitely looking forward to that expansion. And, you know, as I mentioned in that other video, I'm looking forward to Crescent Moon, Pessoa, and, you know, just some other games. But I can't think of anything else. Oh, and I'm looking forward to Garfield Games, the South trilogy, which will be coming out. So he's going to be doing this trilogy of games, Shem Phillips, that is based in, like, you know, kind of like a fictional Iraq, kind of fictional Middle East. So I'm really looking forward to that series of games because it's set in the Middle East, and as you know, I'm kind of crazy about things which are set in the Middle East for kind of obvious reasons. Okay, so the next question is, curious, what attracted you into buying Marrakesh as your second game? So the reason and this will kind of tie into the next question, which is, in general, what do you think motivates future gamers to start buying their own games? So I think I'll answer them both at the same time because I think they're kind of related. And I think the answer to the second question explains my answer to the first question, why did I buy Marrakesh? So Catan was my gateway drug into the world of board gaming, and that was the first game I had ever purchased. And then, you know, for a couple of years, no one was willing to play Catan with me, and I didn't know that there was this giant world of board gaming that existed. I didn't know if there were, like, that there was such a thing as board game meetups until I moved to London. And so it was after law school when I moved to London, and I, you know, was trying to make friends, and I just randomly put in board game into meetup.com and realized that people actually get together to play board games. Like, this was something I did not know, that there was meetups that existed for this. So I started attending London on Board, which was amazing at that time. I don't know how it is now with the pandemic and all, but at that time they used to meet like every night of the week, around 50 to 55 people in a pub playing all kinds of games. And that's when I really became, you know, more of a hobby gamer and started playing a bunch of games. So one of the first games I ended up playing at the meetup was Marrakesh. So that's why it ended up being the second game I bought. So the first time I ever went to that meetup, Marrakesh was one of the first games I played, as well as My Star. So My Star was the third board game I ever bought. So Marrakesh and MyStar, you know, that's when I bought those when I was introduced to board games in London. And I would say the reason I bought them was because, you know, I had so much fun playing them at the meetup. And, you know, I was just so excited. Like, I was just excited to be playing board games and learn about all these new board games. And, you know, and there's potential, right? So I bought these games knowing that, okay, or hoping that I would get to play them with friends of my own or family. And, you know, there was potential when I bought these games, like the potential to have so much fun, to have, you know, game nights and, you know, have a good time. So I think that's why people start buying games, is when they really, you know, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I think when people get into the hobby, they, you know, see the potential of having so much fun. And when they learn about new games, you know, you're kind of buying it for that potential. And you're also kind of buying it once you become a collector. You know, you're not going to be able to play all the games necessarily right away that you buy, but you don't want to miss out. So, you know, there becomes an aspect of just collecting games too, so you don't miss out on those games in case they go out of print or whatever. So yeah, so Marrakesh, it's not like it was particularly a great game that I bought it, but it just happened to be the first game that I played at a meetup after Catan, and learned about the world of board gaming, and same with MyStar. And then the next game I bought after that, so the fourth board game I ever bought, you know, I can only remember like the first handful or so of games that I ever bought, but the fourth game I ever bought was Secret Hitler. So when I moved back to America and joined a board game meetup in Ithaca, one of the first few games I played that I had so much fun playing with these new friends I had made was Secret Hitler. So again, I bought this game for the potential of having lots of more fun like that again in the future. And which I did. Like, my copy of Secret Hitler got used so much. I mean, my sister took it, so I need to buy my own copy again. But that copy got used so much, it's, you know, it definitely got worn out. Right, Tabby? So yeah, so I think that's why people buy games. Like, when, you know, when they come into the hobby, they see the potential of having so much fun, and then eventually, you know, you become a board game collector, I guess. Like, you know, I've got at least 50 games unplayed right now that, you know, are sitting on my shelves or in boxes. But, you know, I get them because there's the worry that they might go out of print. There's the worry that, you know, it might be hard to find later. So if I see an opportunity to get a game, I'll get it now with the hopes of playing it later. And then if I don't like it later, I can, you know, hopefully sell it on or something like that. But again, you know, I'm trying to be more selective, of course, because, you know, money's tight right now, and can't keep on just throwing away money on games that I'm probably not going to like or play as often. So I think that's it. So yeah, so the question I wanted to leave you guys with is, what were the first 3 games that you ever bought as a hobby board gamer, if you can remember? So, you know, not like when you were a kid and when you played like Candyland or Life or whatever, but like when you started feeling like a hobby board gamer, what were the first 3 board games that you bought and why? And I would be curious to see if our answers align. Yeah, and I'd be curious to see what those games were that you bought. Yeah, so I guess that's the question I'm going to leave with you guys. And I am looking forward to playing with the Eiffel expansion tonight for Paris. And does Dobby have anything to say before we say bye? No? Do you want to say anything? No? I don't think he has anything to say. So until next time, guys, bye.